It is, of course, the Friday, 14th of July, 2023. This is the Breakfast Show on Camnet TV, the show that comes to your screen every morning, where we discuss a lot of important aspects of what is happening around in the country. This is Camnet TV. We care for you, the viewer. That's why we keep bringing this program, so that your voice can be heard, and that can be done if you too can call and participate on this program. There is a numbers that are scrolling on the screen. You can just dial those numbers and dive into the conversation, and trust me, policymakers are listening. That's one way you can also add your voice to economic issues that are happening around in the country. Sometimes it's very difficult for you to get to the president, to get to the ministry, to the Minister of Mines, to get to the Minister of Commerce, but this platform gives you that opportunity to talk to them. So I am your host, Prudence Chota, and of course we will be together between now and 09 hours. And of course we're also expecting a guest at 08 hours, where we will be discussing some issues in the mining sector. Remember also that the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development today, Mr. Paul Kabuswe, is holding a press briefing at 08 hours. Just look out for that. The mines unions are also there, and they will be talking to us over the issues that have to do with the mining sector. So that also will be on Camnet TV during the course of the day, and of course in our main news. In case you don't catch up the briefing, you can get the highlights during our news time. But of course, a wonderful discussion we will be having. But before we dive deep into the conversation, let's look at the health corner just to see what our doctor has for us this morning.
Good morning, and I'm glad that you could join us here on the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we have been talking about community-acquired pneumonia, and this is pneumonia that comes about from having an infection that you have gotten from the community that you're living in. We're getting into the cold season, so many people are going to be having this condition because of being indoors mostly and being in close proximity with other people who might have the bacteria or the virus or the fungi that can cause pneumonia. So we discussed that pneumonia can be caused by bacteria, can be caused by virus or a fungi. And we also say that this pneumonia can also present in certain ways, such as having a fever or having a cough and chest pain. If it's very severe, the patient would have difficulties in breathing as well. Then we talked about the diagnosis and treatment, and we say that pneumonia can be diagnosed with a chest x-ray that has to be done at the hospital, and submitting sputum samples to verify or to check what type of bacteria it is and what type of antibiotics to use for this bacteria, or if it's a virus, what type of virus is it. Then we talked about the treatment, and we say that treatment can be done based on the organism causing it. So if it's a virus, then sometimes it can be self-limiting. Sometimes you need to take antiviral medications. Then if it's a bacteria, then you need to be given antibiotics. If it's a fungi, you need to be given antifungal medications. So those are some of the ways in which pneumonia can be treated in the hospital. There are certain complications that can arise from pneumonia or having pneumonia, and some of the complications include having an abscess in your lungs. So an abscess can form in your lungs, and it would have to be treated, of course, with the antibiotics or antifungals, depending on the causative agent of that abscess or the pneumonia. Then the other thing is that you could have what we call a pleural effusion. So fluid can accumulate in the pleural space, which is the space outside of your lungs. And so because of the pneumonia that you have, you find that some fluid accumulates in the lungs, and it can be very detrimental to your breathing, so you will not be able to breathe well, and it will have to be drained. Some of the fluid has to be drained from the lungs to relieve that that pressure that is created by the fluid in the lungs. Then there are other complications as well, such as having pus in the same pleural space. It can cause pus collection in the pleural space. If the pneumonia is very severe, it can cause what we call a shock. So you can have septic shock because of pneumonia, and that can be very deadly, and it can even lead to death if it's very severe. So it's important that you get treatment for pneumonia very early to prevent all these complications and to prevent you from spreading the infection to others as well. So we'll talk about how you can prevent pneumonia. Some of the ways you can prevent pneumonia is by covering your cough or your sneeze whenever you cough or sneeze, to prevent you from spreading it to other people. The other way is that you need to be able to eat a healthy diet so that your immune system can be strong, and also exercise as well to improve your immune system. So exercise and eating healthy are ways in which we can improve or increase our immunity and improve our immune system to prevent us from getting bacterial infections or viral infections that can harm us and cause pneumonia. The other thing is that if you are a smoker, then try to stop smoking or reduce on smoking, because that can lead you to getting pneumonia and also getting other infections as well. So these are ways in which we can prevent ourselves from getting pneumonia. Make sure that you wash your hands all the time, because they could be bacteria or viruses that you have gotten from the environment or from shaking other people's hands or from the surface areas around that can cause pneumonia. So make sure you wash your hands on a regular basis and avoid unnecessary handshakes with people, so that you cannot get these bacteria that can cause pneumonia. So make sure you protect yourself, protect others as well, and take care of yourself. If you have any symptoms, get treatment early, go to the hospital as soon as possible and seek treatment, and you will be helped. You'll be given the medications that are needed, and you will become better. So I do hope you learned something this week. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and also watch my YouTube videos. That if you have missed any of the sessions here on the Health Corner on the Breakfast Show. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakubyanamfire. I'll see you again next time. Make sure you stay healthy, stay blessed, and have a lovely weekend.
There you have it. That was Dr. Mfire, and of course pneumonia is what she was talking about. You too can be part of the conversation by sending us those particular topics that you would like the doctor to tackle on this program, and be assured that the doctor will come and explain how you can live with certain conditions. But remember, these are just advice and not diagnosis. If you do not feel well, please visit the nearest health facilities. Health facilities are there to, provide us with a service. You and I are taxpayers, and we do pay tax so that government can have medicines in health facilities, so that they can have equipment in health facilities. So you too can visit health facilities if you do not feel well, or if you feel any of the signs and symptoms that the doctor keeps talking about. Please visit your nearest health facility. Just 2 days ago, pardon me, there was someone who actually was being buried, and this person died of BP and sugar, and they didn't know that they had BP and sugar, so they didn't know how to go about it and treat it. So when they had an attack, it led, unfortunately, to the demise of that particular person, and 2 days ago he was put to rest. But if I think in your area, or if you visited health facilities and knew that he had that condition, it would have been easy to know how to prevent it when you have an attack. So don't take life for granted. Life is precious. Family needs you. The country also needs you, because your contribution to the development of Zambia really counts. So let's ensure that we visit health facilities to know how we are performing. Sometimes just a full body check. You just don't visit health facilities when you're sick, no? But even when you're not feeling too well, you can visit health facility just to have a full body check. So let's do that. It is very important. Then right about now also, we are going to look at the money market. How is it that our local currency is performing against other major convertibles? That is kwacha against the US dollar, British pound, euro. That is the money market today. Quite disappointing. I didn't know this is how our local currency is performing. Zambian kwacha against the Great British pound is buying at 24 kwacha 10 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 5.8 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 20 kwacha 58 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 99 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 02 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 04 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar, wow, buying at 18 kwacha 41 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 77 ngwe. That is the money market for this morning, the 14th of July 2023, as at 07:12 hours. Quite disappointing. I didn't know that is how our local currency is performing. You know, the last time I checked, kwacha was trending around 17 kwacha to 18 kwacha. But I thought, you know, after clinching this debt restructuring deal, we were going to see our local currency stabilize. But that has not been the case. But it's not yet over. We have some good news. And yesterday, the International Monetary Fund approved the disbursement of 189 million United States dollars to Zambia as part of the extended credit facility. Remember, Zambia got an IMF bailout program last year, and the first disbursement was done. We needed to get our second disbursement, but that delayed. Why? Because the agreement was that for us to get our second disbursement of that 1.3 billion, we needed to have signed a memorandum of understanding with our creditors. The memorandum of understanding with the creditors was only supposed to come after we reach a debt restructuring deal. So because this debt restructuring deal delayed, the IMF said we are not going to release this money. So remember, we've got the national budget that we have to implement, and in order for us to implement this budget, we need resources. Away from the resources that we are raising as a country through ZRA and other means, we also need to get money from outside, which is through borrowing, and we've borrowed from the IMF 1.3 billion. So the IMF could not release that money because we did not reach an agreement with the creditors. But 2 weeks ago, remember, there was a development where we reached an agreement of restructuring 6 billion kwacha of our debt over a period of 20 years. And in the first 3 years, we will not be paying anything. After 3 years, we'll be paying interest at 0.5%. Quite interesting, giving Zambia some room to breathe. So the IMF now, yesterday, after holding a meeting almost the whole day, they were in a meeting. In the evening, around 20 hours, they did release a statement where they said with immediate effect, they've approved the release of 189 million United States dollars to Zambia. We have some dollars in the economy. We are expecting going forward to see our local currency begin to perform better. Remember, last year when the IMF released that first consignment of, you know, the 1.3 billion extended credit facilities. We did see our local currency actually perform better. Kwacha went even to as low as 16 kwacha. And now they've given us the second consignment. At least we have some dollars in the economy. And trust me, after today going forward, even next week, we are expecting the local currency to perform better. I'm just quite, not happy to see that kwacha has even reached 18 kwacha. Even after the announcement that we had reached a debt restructuring deal was made, we expected after that, to see a lot of economic changes, seeing a lot of investors who were uncertain about Zambia's debt now begin to express interest to invest, to buy government bonds and stuff like that. But anyway, we wish government all the best. The information that is there around is that the IMF has approved to give Zambia 1.189 million United States dollar, and that money is likely to hit our accounts by today. If not today, then by Monday. Remember, our weekend, it's very difficult, but when we see that money come through, we will expect our local currency to perform even better. I know others have argued IMF is not a solution. Yes, yeah. We know, but sometimes when you owe people a lot of money, your debt is unsustainable. You need to look to ways in which you can borrow money with no interest. Like for the IMF bailout package, there's no interest, you pay over a longer period. I'm not an economist. You have others who've argued to say, hey, what. But anyway, that aside, we are glad that the IMF has released some resources. But I think as a country, we need to start looking to how we can raise our own resources. If anything, we are not even supposed to be celebrating borrowed money when the country has Sujilite. I was yesterday taking time to just check on the price of Sujilite on the international market. And I actually learned that Sujilite sells about $5 to $65 per kilogram. Remember, a kilogram is per kg, to adivera kg, and because to adishwaka 1 kg sugar. So when we say grams, 1,000 grams make 1 kg. So kadaka gram, kadaka no no sana gram kadaka Sujilite. It fetches around $5 to $65. So if you have 50 kg, in a tweeted 50 kg, you should have 50,000 grams. So multiply 50,000 grams by 65 kwacha. You know how much just a 50 kg of Sujilite will cost. That's about millions of kwacha. And if we have these resources, I think we need to start benefiting as a country. These resources need to start triggering down to our economy. I think Sujilite is a game changer. We've got gold now, we've got, manganese. I don't know why we should even be borrowing as a country, but it's not yet over. We wish government all the best, even as they deliberate on the resources of the country. Remember, if UPND administration fails, we've all failed as a country. So let's wish them success so that we also benefit. Too much of talking. Yesterday we did have some stories that made headline in our news, and among the stories is that some former New Horizon Printing Press Limited employees have called on the relevant authorities and stakeholders to help them get their benefits from the company. Some of the employees spoken to have told Camnet News that they were forced to resign from their position last year after failing to come to terms with management over low wages, but that their employer has refused to pay them their benefits. Meanwhile, organization human resource manager Vincent Chero, when contacted, said the company has not refused to pay the former employees, but that it has been waiting for a response from the Ministry of Labor. Let's zoom into that story that made headline in our news yesterday. These are some of the former New Horizon Printing Press Limited employees in Lusaka who have not been paid their benefits by the company following their resignation from the said company last year. According to these employees, they decided to quit from their positions after failing to come to an agreement with their employer over wages, but that despite having followed all the labor laws when resigning, their employer has refused to pay them their benefits.
I worked for this company for 11 years. After seeing that we are not agreeing with the conditions of service and other things, we decided to resign as per labor law. We followed the necessary procedure. We gave notice of 30 days according to the employment code. We were given letters by the company. The only thing which appeared was a salary and leave days, but there were no terminal benefits for the years we worked for.
They further explained that The matter was reported to the Ministry of Labour, who later invited the company to a discussion table where the company was told to pay the former employees, but that the directive was ignored by the said company.
After the company was being called for mediation, we sat in the mediation. They were told to say what you did is not according to the laws. They were advised what to do verbally. As well, they were written to.
This is the first letter which they did from the labor. They were instructed to pay us. They wrote this letter to them. They ignored it. And then the second one is this one. Also, they ignored it, meaning that there are no regards for the government. They are not in support with the laws of Zambia.
They also explained that following the company's failure to abide by the directive given by the Ministry of Labour, the ministry has referred the matter to Legal Aid, but they feel the process at Legal Aid will take longer as they desperately need the resources, hence calling on other stakeholders and the relevant authorities to help them recover their benefits.
The referral which came from the Minister of Labour, they referred to the Legal Aid Board. So we just heard from the legal board, they say it's just to take time for it to be resolved. So we are appealing to the relevant authority to help us. We cannot go through the same process because we wait for that money and we never stolen anything.
We are asking or we are appealing to the relevant authority to help us so that we can get our money. We cannot work for 11 years for nothing. We work for someone for 11 years for nothing. No, we need our money.
Oh, what we want is our money, and we've worked for it. And our children, they are languishing, and we are languishing too. And we need that money to pay for our children's school fees and food.
Meanwhile, Horizon Printing Press Limited Human Resource Manager Vincent Jere, when contacted, told this reporter that the company has not failed to pay their former employees, but that they are waiting for directive from the Ministry of Labour.
Yes, we're waiting for the letter, yes, from the Ministry of Labour. Because we wrote them as well. So they said they are going to respond to us. So this is the position that we are at right now. We are waiting for them to give us the feedback. Not that we've refused to pay anyone. No, we don't have such.
Meanwhile, Ministry of Labour, Labour Commissioner Givens Montengwa, when contacted, confirmed to this reporter that the ministry wrote to the company compelling it to pay the former employees their dues, but that the company responded through their lawyers they are not owing the said former employees any benefits, which has now prompted the ministry to write to Legal Aid to take up the matter. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News. There you have it. New Horizon Printing Press Limited former employees yesterday were demanding their dues. They said they resigned from their position after failing to come to an agreement with management. They felt aggrieved and they resigned, expecting that they will be paid their benefit. However, they were only paid their salary for that month as well as leave days, but without giving them their gratuities and other benefits that belong to them. So the matter was taken to the Ministry of Labour. The Ministry of Labour called the company so that they sit and discussed. They sat and the Ministry of Labour requested that they pay the employees, but the company still refused. That is according to the information that we got. So the Ministry of Labour wrote them another letter to comply with the labour laws, but still they said these employees are owed nothing. So, you know, when the Ministry of Labour exhausts all the options, they write to Legal Aid to take up the matter. So the Ministry of Labour has actually written to Legal Aid to take up the matter. But, you know, sometimes when it goes that area, it takes a lot of time because, you know, they have to assign a lawyer to the case. You know, lawyers sometimes are busy, and then the matter taken to court, and, you know, sometimes there is. So even you who's waiting for your money, in the end you find that you end up losing quite a number of resources in the process of trying to pursue a legal matter. So that is a route that these guys are trying to avoid, and now they are pleading to stakeholders, including government, institutions and other cooperatives that can come in and help them claim their resources from New Horizon Printing Press. But we also had an opportunity to speak to the company human resource manager, Mr. Jerry, who mentioned that the company has not refused to pay them, but what they are waiting for is directive from the Ministry of Labour. But I also did confirm with the Ministry of Labour, who indicated that they have written to the company, but the company just does not want to comply. According to the company, they responded through their lawyers that they owe those employees nothing. So I don't know how we can help our brothers there get their resources. I don't know who's saying the truth between the company and the Ministry of Labour, because the Ministry of Labour says they have written to them, but the company said they are waiting for directive from the Ministry of Labour. Quite interesting, 10 out of events there, but those are former New Horizon printing press employees who were demanding that they be paid their benefit. It's just important. They worked 11 years. 11 years, that's a lot of time to walk away with only your leave days and your salary for that month. You need your resources. 11 years is quite some time to just, give it up just like that. Then also, we know there is a big issue that has been happening in Lusaka, if you're not in Lusaka, but Lusaka, where almost all marketeers in markets have been swindled of their money by a company that, was calling itself an entrepreneurship hub, excellence entrepreneurship hub, something like that, where they were telling marketeers that they were going to loan them money. They are going to give them loans, so that they can boost their businesses. But they were told, before we can give you a loan, you need to pay a little something for insurance. And that was being paid depending on how much money each person or individual needed. So there are others who paid, 400, others 1,000, others 2,000, because others were doing it as a group, where you request for 100,000 and they tell you pay 2,000 for insurance. So as a group, you put money together and they paid. But this is 8 months since the launch of that program. None of them has been paid. This is why Zanamaka yesterday responded, and they were urging the marketeers to say, before you enter any scheme, do consultations with Zanamaka. Do consultations with institutions. How authentic is this institution? Because this is not the first time that marketeers are being swindled. This happened again, and it has happened, and meaning it might repeat itself in the future. Though the Lusaka Union of Cooperatives today is having a meeting, we are hoping to hear what they have to say over this matter and see if our marketeers will be able to recover their resources. So let's zoom into that other story that made headline in our news yesterday. Revelations have continued to pour from different marketeers at different markets in Lusaka of how Zambia Excellence Entrepreneurship Hub has robbed them of their hard-earned cash in the name of empowering them with loans to boost their businesses. Wednesday, some marketeers at Kazimai Market in Lusaka and City Market complained that the company they entrusted would boost their businesses has only ended up robbing them. The Zambia National Marketeers Credit Association, Zanamaka, has however appealed to marketers to ensure that they confirm with the union on the authenticity of any company that expresses interest in loaning out money to the traders or any organization that promotes business schemes to avoid being victims of scammers.
It's very, sad that a number of our marketeers, in other markets, have been swindled out of their hard-earned income. I think it's because of not understanding, certain things. It is very important going forward that every marketeer, before they get engaged into anything, they have to have where they can go and find out. We have the Ministry of Local Government. Anything that is coming in the market must have a clearance. What I feel, they must have a clearance from the Ministry of Local Government. They must have a clearance from government itself. Because now, this is not the first time. We've had a situation again, I think 3-5 years ago, where a number of marketeers were again swindled with the Presidential Empowerment Directive.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kameya has appealed to government to consider allocating a small fund under the Constituency Development Fund CDF to marketers to ensure that the traders have where to get resources and avoid being victims of scammers.
On the other side, again, we have advised government that with the CDF fund is also another opportunity for our people. CDF fund is in all the constituencies across the country. Why don't we apportion a particular percentage going into the markets so that our people begin to access something which is very genuine? And then appoint certain institutions that will stand in between government and our people. I think that way will create a lot of sanity other than what is happening now.
Meanwhile, the owners of the organization remain in police custody as the matter is being further investigated. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News. There you have it, one of the stories that made headline in our news yesterday. We do have a response today for all the marketeers who are listening to us this morning. Actually, the Lusaka Cooperative Union will be responding to this. Remember, they were the ones who worked with that particular company to convince you that they will be giving out the loan. So today they have a meeting with the media and we hope to hear what they have to say on that particular issue. But remember, you too can be part of this conversation by phoning the numbers that are on the screen and let us hear what you have to say with regards to the stories that we are playing and the topic that we are about to be discussing soon. So just stay tuned to Camnet TV as we will allow our guests to settle so that we dive into this conversation. But remember, also yesterday, the Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee in charge of information and publicity, Raphael Nakachinda, has alleged that police have been directed to arrest the former First Lady, Esther Lungu. Addressing the media Thursday afternoon, Mr. Nakachinda alleges that the directive to arrest the former First Lady comes from the top office in some senior police officers. Remember, Mr. Nakachinda is also appearing before the court for making similar allegations. And yesterday, he made other allegations. I don't know, maybe people love going to court, but that's according to the information he gave us. He alleges that the former First Lady will be charged with aggravated robbery. We want to know, what did she rob the country of? And Mr. Nakachinda has also charged that the Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, has been pouncing on people's properties without any investigations. Let's see what Mr. Nakachinda said yesterday, even as we allow our guests to settle.
We have been closely zooming and watching schemes that are being orchestrated under the directive of one, the top office, Community House, and some disgruntled senior police officers, to the effect that, one, to try and feed into the narrative of that the former First family could have been involved in some criminal activities at the time that for President Edgar Chakarungu was in State House. There was a directive given that tomorrow the police, regardless of the nature of the allegation, especially the civil issues that have to do with somebody who misappropriated funds for the former First Lady, that they would want to move and inconvenience her by arresting and try to charge her with aggravated robbery, which, first of all, is unbelievable to every well-meaning Zambian that a lady as peaceful as Mrs. Esther Lungu could even be thought of committing such a crime of aggravated robbery. But as it were, when you have a sadist, and you have sadists in government, they can go to whatever length in their desperation to justify their lies.
There you have it. That is the Patriotic Front Media and Information Director, Raphael Nakachinda. They are making some allegations against the police and, of course, the top government office, where he alleges that they have a plot to arrest the former First Lady, Esther Lungu, and charge her with aggravated robbery. Let's see where this goes. Food for thoughts. Mr. Nakachinda already is appearing before court on a similar matter, but yesterday he made other allegations with regards to the former First Lady and accuses the police of plotting that arrest. But also remember, Minister of Mines and Minerals Development, Paul Kabuswe, today is holding a press briefing at 08 hours. I know if the meeting has not started, it is likely to start, and they are meeting other mines union who will be there, of course, speaking to the media. I hope this meeting will give us, some bit of information and relief when it comes to issues that are very topical in the mining sector. Talking about the mining sector, this morning we are discussing the importance of developing the mining sector, and in studio I have been joined by Elizabeth Chilufya Chilangwa, who's the CEO of Hit Galut Consultant Limited. Madam, good morning.
Good morning.
Fine, thank you. It's good that you can join me in studio this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I know it is the first time you're appearing on Camnet TV.
Yes.
And we look forward to having a fruitful discussion.
Yes.
When it comes to issues that have to do with mining, we know this has been, a very chilly topic. Whenever you mention the issue of mining,
it's quite intense.
There are all these eyebrows, that are open when you just talk about the issue of mining. We've got a lot of, Zambia is not benefiting from the mining sector.
Right.
If you look at all the years we've mined, what are we there to show off? We don't own the mining sector. We've seen what is happening on the copper belt. We've now seen new minerals being developed. We've got gold everywhere. We've now seen sugilite. I was actually checking the price of sugilite yesterday on the international market. Quite interesting.
Exactly.
What I saw, and I'm saying, okay, wow, we are blessed with natural resources.
Exactly.
But where is the problem? Where is the problem? Why are we not benefiting enough as a country? That's why we thought this morning we will discuss the importance of developing the mining sector. Mrs. Chilangwa is discussing with that topic. And just to dive into a conversation, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes.
And the organization you're representing and the things that you do.
Okay, a little bit about myself. I'm the CEO of Hit Galut Consultants, as you have just mentioned. And our investment firm is basically to empower businesses, African businesses across the continent, and through investment opportunities. So about myself, I've been working in the mining sector for quite some time. Well, not exactly the mining sector on its own, but in the development sector as well as the private sector, empowering businesses as a whole. When I say working in the mining sector, I don't mean going down to the rigs, but working with the people in the mining sector at management level, looking at joint ventures and providing the information that they need, who's doing what in what sort of market, and just basically having a better understanding of it and what the markets are providing. And we have a very good team that is actually assisting the various people in the mining sector, especially those who are looking for the financing as well as joint ventures or who are trying to sell what they have found.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting to know you're doing that, because I know we've had, a lot of minerals being discovered in the country, sometimes by ordinary farmers in their farm.
Yes.
They find minerals and they don't even know where to start from and to go about it. That's why now we are having a lot of illegal mining activities, and the value for that mineral is not really being felt. When you do something illegally, you don't even sell something at that particular value. But when you mention that you're also helping to see where that these people can collaborate, as well as financing, at least it gives me a relief, even for those who are watching, to say, if you actually discover minerals, you don't have to do it illegally. There is a way you can find partners, and there's also a way you can find resources. Quite interesting to know that Hit Galut is doing that. But of course, let's go to Zambia. Is a mining country. And is there enough investment in this sector? Would you say we've done enough investment in the mining sector?
Right now, there's such a huge boom in the sector of mining that people are getting excited, and they're beginning to understand the importance of taking ownership. It's no longer just, let me just build a house, let me just get a job to pay for my children's school fees, look after my family. It's going beyond that. It's about taking ownership. And that's where not just Zambia, but the whole continent of Africa wants to take ownership of what is rightfully theirs. Colonialism was there, and that has been long gone. It was an economical aspect for the West to colonize Africa because they already saw the wealth that we already had. And it's time that we open our eyes and see what rightfully belongs to ours, and take advantage of that and really understand how we can utilize the natural resources for ourselves for long-term benefits. And I think the excitement about the mining sector is that there's so many different types of minerals, gemstones, anything that you can find. Our soil is so rich, no matter at what level you dig, it is so rich. You can spit a seed on the ground. 2 weeks later you come and you find something growing. That's how rich our soil is. Now imagine if you dig very, very deep in the ground, something that has been maturing for hundreds of years, gold, siderite, copper, magnesium, whatever it is, that is the wealth of it. It's been there for a very long time. And now it's being exposed. People are beginning to understand the value of their natural resources. So there's a lot of education that needs to be provided. There's a lot of knowledge and understanding of how to manage those natural resources that is required. Hence the importance of working together with not just government, but also private sector and other partners that can come together to build the mining sector itself. For example, we're working hand in hand with the Federation of Small-Scale Miners. There's no way they can do it alone, and there's no way we can do it alone. We are working with people in different organizations that are not only funding different types of projects, businesses, all sorts. Everything is interlinked. You cannot separate mining from agriculture. You cannot separate the people from agriculture. You cannot separate the land from anything, because everything is a circle of life. Everything is interlinked. Financial sector is interlinked with everything that we do. The agricultural sector is interlinked with everything that we are, because it feeds people. So the mining sector becomes the commodity that actually will bring the wealth into the country itself, and we need to learn to manage it together. We cannot separate ourselves from it.
What are some of the bottlenecks that you have observed when it comes to the mining sector?
The bottlenecks that we have, number one, is finances. Finances is the key thing. The financial institutions that are actually there on the African continent are trying to build their muscle to finance such projects. They're not quite there yet. The West already have it. Why? Because it's something that was already in their plan during the colonial time. If you think about it, Zambia was used to build Zimbabwe. That's how wealthy our country is. So if we can take control of the wealth that we already have, and have a system in place, and coordinate ourselves, both the technocrats, the financial sector, the business sector, and the people on the ground who actually know what's happening and what is actually there, who have a better understanding. And if we all connect with each other, then we'll be able to put a system in place that can generate profitable income for everybody across the board.
Quite interesting there when you mentioned to say, you know, we built Zimbabwe.
Yes.
I think we've built other more African countries through the minerals that come from, you know, Zambia.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's true. It's high time we started looking at ways how these minerals can really give an impact on our economy. But again, just talking about bottlenecks, where you've talked about financing, when I think of countries like China, I think of countries like India. These two countries I've just mentioned own the majority of mines here in Zambia. And one of the reasons has been because it's very easy for them to access financing in the mining sector from their countries. When you express interest, you show there is proof, you will make profit in this sector, they will be able to finance you. But when you come to Zambia, I have discovered minerals. I want to start mining. There's literally nowhere I will go to get money, and they loan me. Even banks sometimes, they will not give you money based on the idea that I have a mine, I've discovered minerals, and I want financing. So what institutions are you working with to ensure that these resources are made available for those small-scale miners who are out there? Are there some of the institutions that have come in that you're working with?
Well, yes, they are, and the institutions that are actually there, they're slowly but surely building their muscle in creating financing for the mining sector across the board. Right now, it could be the fact that they're looking for instant tangible results, because that money needs to be made back instantly so that it could be plowed back again. You know, when you invest, you reinvest, you reinvest, you reinvest. Now, the tricky part about mining is that it takes time to generate profits. So when you're dealing with financial institutions and businesses, they want to see tangible results instantly, and the mining sector will not do that for them. And we have to set up a system where other businesses that will generate income instantly could help put muscle to those financial institutions to back up the mining sector so that they can feel comfortable with it. Right now, what is there is that they could provide the equipment, but they cannot finance the whole mine. Now, an average full-scale mine minimum is $2 million, minimum, and that's a small one. Yeah. Now, if you're thinking about a very large-scale mine, you're talking about billions. And the African banks that are actually there right now do not have the capacity to finance something like that. They're trying to still build their muscle by, first of all, investing in businesses that will bring them instant tangible results, financial results that will give them profits, so that they can actually grow their financial institutions to a point where later on down the line, they won't even have to blink an eye to give money to a mine and say, here's $2 billion, go ahead.
And do the mining.
Right.
You too can be part of the conversation. In studio this morning, I am joined by the Chief Executive Officer of HIT Galut. And of course, we are discussing the importance of developing the mining sector. So Mrs. Chilangwa is the Chief Executive Officer, and we are discussing that particular topic. You too can be part of the conversation. Let us know what you have to say with regards to the topic that we are discussing this morning. You can also leave us that message on our Facebook page. We are streaming this program live, and we'll be able to review those messages going forward. Later on, before I popped up the question of the financial institutions that are there, you did talk about some of the bottlenecks that we have in this sector. So what is your organization doing to disrupt these bottlenecks?
The key thing that we're first of all doing is that we need to work with key partners like the Federation of Small-Scale Miners, and also international partners who are also doing the same thing, who are working with the people on the ground. That is our target. We need to empower the people on the ground because they know exactly where these things are. They know where all the minerals are. They may not know the names of them. They'll just say, oh, I've seen this color stone this side. You know, how much will you give it to me? How much money will you give me for it? You know, but if we empower the small people on the ground, we give them knowledge and understanding, and also work with the traditional leaders and the chiefs, and let them know the value of their land and the minerals that are actually in the ground. Then we can start building our way to the top and looking at skills development, empowering them with equipment, training them how to use the equipment, training them how to maintain the equipment, at the same time, not destroying the environment, and empowering the other people who are actually farming in the area so that they can continue feeding the people. So the environment is also key as well. Now with our natural resources, as I mentioned earlier on, our soil is so rich. We have so much in our agricultural sector that even the leaves that come from any plant can heal any disease, any sickness, the seeds as well. So we have to strike a balance. There's medical, health, nutrition, then there's also financing, then there's also the business aspect and food. So all of these things, if you can look at a community, see what the community needs, develop that community, let that be a pilot to be duplicated in another environment and in another community. And once we do that, then it'll be easier to roll it out across the country and across the continent, building nations step by step through one community to another.
Environmental issues have been topical when it comes to mining.
Yes.
We've seen, a lot of environmental pollution. In some areas, they don't even realize, the residents there, to say, this particular mine has actually maybe polluted their water stream or they've polluted their environment, until maybe a time when something happens.
Right.
That's when you come to realize, to say, this has been the effect of mining all along, and the community only has to benefit on the negative part rather than on the positive part. So it's quite interesting when you talk about, you're not just looking at investing in the mining sector, but also how can you mine without destroying the environment. I think going forward, that's what we need to be looking at. But moving on, we know there is this exciting program that is coming up, and that is the Expo in the mining sector. Let's just talk about that. When are you having this activity, and what is it about? Just to excite those who are watching us, of course, there is a mining expo that will be coming very soon, sooner than you think. And if you have not yet had plans to participate, I think from what you're about to hear, it should give you a reason to participate. Let's talk about the expo.
Okay. The expo is actually going to be in the first week of August, from the 1st to the 3rd of August. It's overlapping with the agriculture show, because we want to make sure that we give people enough opportunity to network with a larger crowd of people. The expo is actually called Zambia Nigeria Mining and Agricultural Expo. It originally just started off as something small where we can look at investment opportunities for key business people who wanted to come in from Nigeria. Then we set it up legitimately through legitimate channels by working through the chambers of commerce, both in Nigeria as well as in Zambia. So our partners are the chambers of commerce here locally as well as in Nigeria. And our teams are working to seamlessly create a platform for networking B2Bs, showcasing their products through expositions as well, and also to give a platform for the technocrats to give the information on how to trade with each other. Now, the agriculture show will be during the same time, we'll just be starting right towards the end of our event, but it does not mean that one event is going to overshadow the other. No, we're actually partnering up. We want to make sure that their participants will also get to come to our event, and our participants will also get to go to their event. That way you maximize your networking and build your businesses together. Yes.
Where is this being held? Where is the expo
It's
being
going to be held at Radisson Blue Hotel in Lusaka, and for 3 days. So people can feel free to book their venue at Radisson Blue or anywhere near within the area in the vicinity.
Who are you expecting to participate? Is it just those who are doing the actual mining, or those with, I know that I have minerals at my farm, I've not yet just come out, but I think I can go and get more information on this particular one.
Right.
So how is it like? Are there tickets that have been sold, or who are you targeting to visit the place? Is it open for everyone?
What we're encouraging people to do is basically go to our website, hitgalutconsultants.com, and the information will be there how to register. And you can also visit our social media sites. Just Google Hit Galut Consultants. We've got the Facebook page, Twitter page, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn. And the information will all be there. We do have short videos demonstrating on how you can actually register and pay for a stand to take part in the B2B sessions, taking part in the networking sessions as well. The kind of audience that we are expecting, because of Zambia and Nigeria, it's not just the two countries. But what has happened over a period of time is that when we ran our informational webinars online, we found that different nationals started taking part. So it's become an international expo. So it's a mining and agriculture expo. and we're opening it up to anybody in agriculture and mining, those who have value-added products as well as non-value-added products as well, so that they can exhibit. Those who feel that they're not quite ready to go out there and trade yet within those sectors, feel free, come, network, see what other people are doing, chat with them, understand how to sell your product and grow your business by seeing how other people are also doing it. So we're encouraging people to register on our website. Yes.
Just a secret for those who are watching, when I was growing up, when we go to the farm or when we go to places, we used to see all these kind of stones with different colors, and sometimes we wouldn't even know this is a mineral. I always tell myself, if I knew what I know now, then I think I would have been a millionaire by now. Because it's like minerals in Zambia just everywhere.
Yeah.
And some of them, we've seen them, but you just don't know that that's a mineral. So just a little tip for those who might be seeing minerals at their homes, at their farm, but you're not sure. Perhaps maybe this expo can be an opportunity for you to come and just look around all the minerals that will be displayed, and do a comparison. You might just be sitting on $1 billion mine, but you don't just realize it because it has not clicked. This can be a mineral. So sometimes, maybe just an advice, you go to the place where this is happening and just look around, because I know there will be a lot of minerals at the expo, to an extent where you actually discover that I'm sitting on billions of kwacha while I'm suffering. That's just a tip for those who are watching. You might not know, but I think this for me is an exciting expo. This is what we should be looking at if we need to grow our mining sector. So who are the sponsors and partners in this particular program?
Wow, I am quite blessed to have technical partners right now. The technical partners we have, number one is the Minister of Commerce and Trade and Industry. They're the first ones who actually endorse us. And then came the Chambers of Commerce here in Zambia. The Chambers of Commerce in Nigeria are working in collaboration with people out here as well. We've also got, obviously, Radisson Blue, who have given us discount for the people who will be coming to stay at the hotel. And then we've also got MADI is another organization, which is like the Federation of Small Scale Miners. That is a Minerals Africa Development Institute. Yes, MADI. Yeah. Yes. So they're also our technical partners. And then we've also got Tokimo Banguje in Nigeria. They are technical partners who are mobilizing the Nigerians to come out into Zambia. And then we've also got, oh my goodness, I wish I had the list in front of me. I apologize if I've forgotten anybody. We've got the Chambers of Mines, Lusaka Chambers of Mines, Lusaka Chambers of Commerce, Zaki, Zambia Chambers of Commerce. And then we've got, who am I forgetting?
Oh, yeah.
Minister of Agriculture.
Of course. I was about to go there because I did hear you did mention you're collaborating with the Ministry of Agriculture.
And there's quite a long list. Lagos Chambers of, Labor's Chambers of Commerce. This is quite long, but we're still looking for the financial sponsors for the event. We're encouraging them to come out because this is an opportunity so that they can actually share the financial tools that can help these businesses grow. We need that. We really do need that because they become the backbone of securing the investments for the people.
I'm actually, very excited to know. I've never really thought Nigeria is so much into the minerals. I've known them to be so much into oil. But knowing that we are having Zambia-Nigeria Expo in the mining sector is quite interesting because I know India does a lot of, jewelry and stuff like that. And we've seen also other countries, but it really didn't trigger for me to Nigeria. So quite interesting.
You know why? They have the same challenges we do.
Wow.
Just like the way Zambia was just like, you had a few big mines, there weren't small mines really being exposed. Nigeria has the exact same problems, and they're trying to get to another level exactly the way Zambia is trying to get to the next level. So that's where we have certain things in common, and we want to grow the sector. Yeah.
That's why you said, I think let's come together. And
Exactly.
see how we can
You cannot work alone. No man is an island. You've got to come together and work together.
Of course.
Yeah.
What activities are lined up for highlight? What activities have you lined up just for this expo? And then also, do we see any media engagement?
Yes. Yes, you'll start seeing media engagements. In fact, you're the first.
Oh, wow. We're Camnet TV.
Yes, Camnet TV. You're the first. And so you'll be seeing a lot more media engagement afterwards, because we want to educate people that it's important that you cannot separate agriculture from mining. Those two have to go hand in hand, and the environmental aspect is important, and it's the people on the ground who can educate us on how to maintain that and keep the environment clean, and they will know best how to still grow both sectors side by side. So we're going to have the Minister of Agriculture, they're going to be speaking on how to import and export products, and the different certifications that you will need, and then whether they're value added or not. Then we're also going to have the Minister of Mines and the Chambers of Mines who are also going to explain the latest information in this sector, because they're working so hard in actually growing the sector and working with the people on the ground to improve the sector itself. So because things are moving very quickly, we don't want to be left behind on specific information, and with the platform that they've already set up at the Ministry of Mines is very, very important, because then we know who is legitimate and who isn't, and who needs to be legitimatized and be put in the system as well. So we will give them a chance to speak and share the latest of what's happening in the mining sector. And then we'll also be sharing on what's happening in the financial sector, how they come in, and the different types of payment systems that are there that will help people trade better on the African continent. We're streamlining the AFCFTA tools and services through all of our activities. In fact, we've been doing it before this event through webinars, the informational webinars like I had mentioned before. So the payment systems are very, very key. Because of the way things are changing, we're going through the electronic age, we need to make sure that payments do go through smoothly. And the border issues that we are experiencing also affects the trade issues. What are we doing about that? So we're actually going to give a chance to a group of people who are having discussions about cargo bonds. Where are we with cargo bonds as well? So there are lots of issues that we need to really catch up on, and let people know where Zambia is when it comes to developing itself, and how well we have caught up with the AFCFTA tools and services that are already there, where we have actually signed the agreement with other African countries that are trying to develop their country at a higher level.
Quite interesting there. When you talk about, the continental free trade area,
yes.
When you talk about the mining sector, do you think we are ready enough to trade on a free market?
You can trade gemstones. People are already trading gemstones and minerals. They're already trading them. Now we just need to equip people with adding value. We need to add the value, because what's the point of you selling your raw product for a fraction of the price and it comes back to you as a diamond ring, and then you can't even afford to buy it? Does that make sense?
Of course it doesn't.
So we're going to also be featuring those who are helping people add value to their products in the mining sector. Yeah, we're working on agreements. And partnerships, yes.
Do we have a lot of people adding value to minerals here in Zambia, or it has been raw material?
It's been happening. It's been happening where people have the skills. They've gone to the training school in the Copper Belt, and they've got the skills. Now it's just a matter of unifying the standards that is required, the international standards, so that we can actually sell the products as value-added products.
Is it that maybe sometimes equipment is a challenge for us, or technology?
That's where it's the equipment, it's the technology, and just coordination. Coordination.
That's why we need to coordinate. Let's talk about the people you want to invite to this program. Any foreign mission in Zambia? Ambassadors, high commissioners?
We've actually opened it up to everybody, because what had happened is that when we had our webinars, we thought, ignorantly, we thought it was just going to be Zambians and Nigerians, and we're just going to be one little happy family. No.
Doesn't go like that.
It did not work out like that. So what actually happened is that when we're having these online webinars, people were sharing the links. So now we ended up having people from Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, South Africa, the United States, and Canada, and Botswana. Then we also had India, as I mentioned India. Malawi was also online, and then we also had Ghana was also online.
Yeah.
So now we're just like, oh wow, this has become an international thing. So we're leaving it open, because I think Zambia has always been a safe haven for so many people.
Of course.
Because of the peace, the moment you just cross the border, you have this sense of peace. You just... I don't know if there's a word for it.
Like that.
I don't know if there's a word for it. You cross the border and you're home and you're like,
I've arrived.
I've arrived. Yeah, right.
In paradise.
So, right. And that's why we've got the best investment environment for any sector. For any sector. So people have got their eyes on Zambia, and it's time for us. It's time
to shine.
Yes. But we need to put everything in place.
We've been in the closet for too long. It's time to shine.
We're too comfortable.
I was chatting the other day. I think I was chatting with someone. I don't remember who it was. If it was my husband or it was my colleague. But we were chatting the other day, and the thing that I was saying is like, I think I don't understand why we are even referred to as among the poorest countries in Africa. Honestly speaking, if you look at just the weather.
You know why they did that? It was just it was a move to actually get financing. We had to label ourselves as a highly indebted country in order for us to comply to access funds. That was our label for that season. Once we complied, we got the funding was used to empower the people, then that label slowly but surely fell away. But people need to understand that we do not need to label ourselves as poor. Yeah? We need to really carry ourselves with our heads held up high, know the wealth that we have, and learn to manage that wealth. Because if we don't manage our wealth, we're going to be poor.
Yeah, you are right. Because I was saying, we have, I think, if not the best weather pattern in the world.
Yes.
Zambia just has that. I know our neighboring friends, it's sad, they experience these cyclones, they, experience these sometimes disasters, calamities, that sometimes Zambia has never experienced.
You know why? The power of prayer.
Wow.
We pray.
Yeah.
We pray. When we see things coming, we come together and we pray. We pray.
And it's interesting to know that all year season, you can plant crops and you are assured that you will see them germinate. Even if you plant in the coldest season, which is June, you will still see your crops germinate. But if you go to other countries, you realize that there are certain seasons they don't farm because it's very cold and their crops get destroyed.
Right.
So they do it in greenhouses, some of them, and they still manage to produce more than us.
Yeah.
What are we not doing right when we have, this very good environment, very good weather, very good water? We've got, this rich soil, we've got the minerals. but we're just not getting there. What is the problem?
We just need to organize ourselves. We're not organized. We're too comfortable. We're too comfortable in the fact that you can spit a seed on the ground and you know it's going to germinate, and we know it's just automatically going to happen because that's how rich our soil is. You know, there was a particular time I traveled. I had gone to Durban, and it was my very first time going to Durban. And I had seen the way that the system was and how people were developing the city. And there are certain people who felt that they just did not have anything, and their only resort is just to be on the streets. Yeah. Then I saw the same pattern when I was in the US, where the only resort is just to be on the streets. Yeah. When power would go and there would be a blackout, they were helpless. What do? Go start the brazier. No problem, we'll cook on the brazier. In other countries, we cannot do that. We're so comfortable in the fact that it's come so naturally for us to find a natural solution and just get on with it. We don't need to make an effort to take that step forward or a step higher and just feel comfortable where we are. We need to change that because we're slowly but surely turning out to be the breadbasket. The breadbasket of not just the region, but the whole continent of Africa. So we need to put our ducks in order and just push ourselves to maximize our potential so that we can actually provide an excess to other countries as well. It's no longer just about us and just saying, power is gone, let me just put on the brazier, I'll be okay. But what about your neighbor? What about your neighbor? That's why we're so blessed. We cannot not do something about it. We have to be very proactive. Very proactive. Somebody once told me that everybody's given gifts. Everybody's got a gift. If you don't use it, God will pass it on to somebody else. So it's always stuck in my mind when I saw a friend of mine, he was so lazy that he didn't act on his gift, and then he saw somebody on TV giving money for that gift. He's like, that's my idea. And this other person was making millions out of it. So I took that, I was like, not me. I'm going to use my gifts.
I refuse to be part of those who God will grab and give the gift to someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes we underestimate what we have.
Exactly.
And the mentality is, let me just go and ask for alms. Let me just go and ask for alms.
Yeah.
And let people feel pity for me. I always tell people to say, don't expect the world to always pity you.
No.
There are times when the world will say, pity you enough. And they'll leave you. What do you do at that point? So powerful discussion we are having. Of course, I am joined in studio by the Chief Executive Officer of Hit Galut Consultant Limited, and we are discussing the importance of developing the mining sector. They are collaborating with the government and, of course, the Association of Small Scale Miners in trying to see how is it that we can really develop the mining sector in Zambia. You too can be part of the conversation. You too can be part of the development. You know there's an expo that is coming. Please, let's get involved and know how is it that I can also be a miner. How is it that I can also contribute to the development of Zambia? Remember, when I come on this program, there is always a word that I like to emphasize. You too can develop this country. Your voice does matter. Your idea does matter. What is important is for you to take a step. So we are having an expo in the mining sector, of course, with our colleagues from Nigeria, but of course this has become international. The idea was born between two countries, but others have also expressed interest. This also just keeps me talking. Two countries, but others say,
don't leave us
Why
out.
do you want just to be the two of you? Want to be part? I think that's the attitude that we should be having. If we have that attitude, we will develop not just Zambia, but the African continent. Maybe as we come to the dying end of our interview, Madam Shilangwa, how can people get to contact you?
I would suggest that you send an email to our general email address, because we're going to have all different types of questions. Some people will be contacting us in for the agriculture aspect, some of them for the mining aspect, some of them maybe wanting financing and so on and so forth. So we have a general email address, which is info@hitgalutconsultants.com. And that email address is actually on our website. You will find it there. You can go to our Facebook page. You can go to our LinkedIn page. Those contact details will be there. Yes.
Interesting. So your concluding remarks?
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And with the closing remarks, just remember, no man is an island. We all need to come together. We all need to support each other. We cannot be pointing fingers at each other. Everybody's doing their best that they can at what they're gifted in and what they are assigned to do. So we all need to support each other and work together to achieve the bigger goal of developing the mining sector.
Of course, we can. You too can. You too can be a miner. We want you to be the next big thing to take over Konkola Copper Mine. I know they say we don't have the capacity. The local people don't have the capacity. But somehow,
no, we do.
I tend to disagree with that word. I think we do have the capacity, but we have just become comfortable with hearing words such as we don't have the capacity. But if you can challenge yourself to take it up. I think we can. You too can be the next big name in Zambia. We want, when they're giving a list of Africa's most rich people, there's no way we can't have the first 10 or 20 people. No one is coming from Zambia when we have all these minerals. But look at Nigeria. They have oil.
Yes.
And we do have names that come from Nigeria. As people who are rich in Africa, I think that should also trigger down to Zambia. Of course, among the top 10, among the top 5 rich people in Africa, we need to have Zambia be part of that. You too can be part of the conversation. So we are excited that you joined us this morning on the Breakfast Show. I was joined by the Chief Executive Officer of Hit Galut Consultant Limited. This is Madam Elizabeth Chilufya Chilangwa. If you want to get in contact with them, she's given us an address where you can send those messages. This is a big thing. If you are in the agriculture sector, you want to learn on how you can break through on the international market, this is an event you should not miss. If you are in the mining sector, if you've never had aspirations of being a miner, but you've seen something on your farm, get a sample, come to this meeting, you'll see where she will be seated, approach her and say, that lady on Camnet TV said I should come and ask. So that when you approach her, she doesn't get surprised of why you're approaching her. But we can develop Zambia, we can make Zambia a better place, we can live it better than we found it for our children and the next generation. This has been the Breakfast Show on Camnet TV. I have been your host, Prudence Chota. From me, my guest, and the entire Camnet TV production team, it's bye for now, and God bless you. See you next week. Remember, this Friday edition, from now on to the next 2 months, we will be hosting the Small Scale Miners Association of Zambia and other people in the mining sector. We want to exhaust the mining sector because this sector is an important one. So thank you for tuning in to Camnet TV, for keeping us company. Those who are joining us on Facebook page, thank you so much. See you next week, same time, same place. Bye for now.